Hello, it's Chris from My Stamp Lady, and I am here to show you a way to cut cardstock to make a lot of cards at once. So there is out there, and it's been around for a long time, the one-sheet wonder is how you cut a piece of cardstock into multiple pieces and use it amongst a lot of cards. This was put to us by Shannon West. She introduces to the demonstrators in and around the Great Lakes region, which is where I am. And she designed this cutting system. So I've put it on a piece of paper. It's going to be on my blog, mystamplady.com, where you can find and download this piece. And I'm going to show you how to cut the cardstock, and then I'm going to show you some samples made with this. So we are going to start with pieces of designer series paper, and I have picked the Birthday Bonanza. So I have two pieces, and the first thing you want to do is that these are 6 or 12 by 12 pieces. I'm going to cut them to 6 by 12, and I want to make sure, because I have a pattern in my paper, that pattern is going up and down when I look at it, so that when I go to cut it in half, I have along my 12-inch, it's going to be a half of the sheet this way. Okay, so let's cut this in half. Okay, so here I have my two sheets, and this is double. This is called double wonder because you're going to cut two sheets at one time, and then you're going to end up with an entire piece like this. I now have my two pieces, 6 inches by 12 inches. My pattern is going up and down like this. My first cut is going to be at 3.5 inches. So bringing my cutter back in, I'm going to take my cardstock, I'm going to slide it over and go to 3.5 inches and cut that. Okay, so basically we're going to make 3 sections of cardstock. My next cut of my remaining cardstock, I'm going to go over 4 inches. So let's go in, go to 4 inches and cut that. Okay, so now I have 3 pieces, and I'm going to pull in my little sheet here, and you'll see that there are 3 sections. We're going to treat each of these sections individually now. I'm going to do this one first because it's actually pretty simple. Well, it's all simple once you've done it a few times, but it is fairly straightforward. Okay, so with this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it at 1.5 inches. So we're going to go and still have this in this direction. And I'm trying to get those lined back up there. I guess I'll just take them out. Okay, 1.5 inches. Okay, move it over, and we're going to do 1.5 inches again. Let's find that 1.5 inch mark. Okay, so now I have 3 pieces that are 1.5 by 6 inches. Then I'm going to cut each of these sections in half at 3 inches. Okay, so I'm pulling in this piece here, so you're going to see how I fill it back up. So I have 12 pieces of cardstock cut to 1.5 by 3 inches. So this is my first section that I did. I might not be putting them back in the exact same place. This is my first section. Okay, so now I'm going to move this up over here. Now let's go and work on this middle section, or the white section. So this is my 4 by 6 inch piece of cardstock. And my first cut is to take 3/4 of an inch off the top. So I'm going to go in and go in up to 3/4 of an inch. There we go. And cut that off. and then we are going to cut 1-inch pieces. So let's go down. And this is only the last cut I'll have to do because I have a 6-inch piece, and so I am cutting this into 2 1-inch pieces. There we go. So now let's put this in my little chart that I made up so that you can see where these fit. I'm going to carefully pull that back in. Okay, so here are those 2 that I cut at 3/4 of an inch, and then the 4. So these are cut 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches. So now I just have my last section. Okay, so I'm going to carefully move this out of the way. And in my last section, I am going to cut it at 2 1/4 inches, 2 1/4 inches, and then my remaining one will be cut in half. So let's pull that cutter back in. Here's my last section of cardstock. It's 3 1/2 by 6 inches. And I turned it so that you see my up and down, but now I'm going at perpendicular there. And just 2 1/4 inches. I want to make sure I did it correctly. So we have 2 1/4 inches, another one at 2 1/4 inches. Okay, now my remaining cardstock here at the top should be 1 1/2 inches, and yes, it is. So one more cut. I turned it 90 degrees. And now we're going to go to 1 3/4 of an inch, or cutting it in half. Okay, so those are all my cuts for my patterned paper. So I'm going to pull back in my little sheet to show you exactly where I found these. There we go. And there we go. And that is how you cut up the entire 6 by 12 piece of cardstock, or 12 by 6 piece of cardstock. Once I've done that, I'm going to use these to make 11 cards. So I have now the 2 pieces of paper that I use to make all my samples, just so you can see how I put it together. I have taken 6 sheets of cardstock and cut them in half to make my card bases. So you can see that these are just basic cards, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 once they're folded. When you do this from 6 sheets, you will have 1 extra piece of cardstock or card base you do not use. I'm going to just show you how I put together the card bases. Okay, so we're going to use these 4 pieces. There's only one of this card, so I'm going to do that first. Let's pull in. This is my cardstock, my card base, and then I am going to just place the cardstock down. We're going to put that. We're going to use 2 of the back sides and then 1 of the top, and we will put those in place. Okay, so this is how I put those down, and you only make 1 of these cards, and this is how I finished it. I'm going to take a moment here to show you what I used to do my cards. You can do it much simpler. When Shannon showed us, she used 1 punch and 1 greeting set and went through with some ribbon and finished these cards super quick. That is a super quick way to do it. I decided to pull in my birthday bonanza, and I did step it up a bit. I used the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And then I used this bundle, which right now the Bonanza Buddies is available at 10% off when you purchase it as a bundle right now. So I use that with that. Okay, this is how I finished it. This is a stamp set. This is a stamp from that set, and this is from the Stitch So Sweetly. This was super simple. Okay, so my next one, I used Bermuda Bay, and I am going to make 2 cards. This particular one makes 2 cards. So let's see, I'm going to use this, and then the other side for this one. Pull that back in. And then my other card, I used this and this piece. So let's do that. And then the last part in this one, I'm also using those 2 middle pieces. So we'll put down, and I'll make 2 cards. I'm going to just quickly glue these down. There are the 2 card bases that I've made up, and now I'm going to show you how I finish those off. So I just used a piece or a rectangle with those Stitch So Sweetly dies, cut out the rectangle and stamped, and that was actually very quick. Now I'm moving into my 4 set of cards. Now I'm going to just move over one section to the right. I'm going to use these 1 by 5 1/4 inch pieces. And with this, I am going to be using let me slide this back up. I'm going to be using 2 of the Coastal Cabana and let's see, 2 of the Mango Melody. You do have to do one little kind of fun thing with this, and this is a quick fold. So let's take this back in, and I'm going to take 1 1/4 inches. I'm going over on my cutter, 1 1/4 inches. There we go. And I'm just going to score that. And then we're going to fold it back on itself to make that quick little fold. Okay, so I have those folded back, and then I'm going to just fold that back over. And I actually decided to take a little bit of snail adhesive and just run that down on the back side just to hold it in place. So now I can take, let's see, we need this piece here, and you see that this just fits right in there. That fits right along that spot there, that little fold back. And you know, this one, you made that fold 1 1/4 inches, but you could make that fold a variety of sizes. And a lot of times when I've done these with my card kits and my card classes, I've actually folded that right in half back on itself. Okay, so then we put that, I'm gonna move it over just a little bit. And then this one just goes onto that card back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with with my 3 additional card bases. Okay, so I have my 2 Coastal Cabanas and my 2 Mango Melodies. So I'm making 4 cards like this. Let's set that aside and show you what I came up with. I did do these a bit differently. You can see I took a step up with these. We have some of this one is just basically stamped. This one has some die cutting, and I'll show you those for a second more, and some ribbon added. And then these 2 are a little bit different from each other also. So those were 4 ideas for that one. Okay, we are into our last section here, and this is the one with all of the same pieces. So we'll have 4 card bases for those. So this was taken right from Shannon's, and I cut 4 pieces of 3 7/8 by 5 inch Whisper White cardstock, and then we're just going to place these pieces right on it. So I'm going to just place these out here, and we're going to place down, just kind of seeing how I did this. I'm going to just copy. Okay, so I've positioned down, I placed all those strips where I want them. Now I'm going to place them down. Okay, we are now done with this. We've used up all of our pieces that we've cut. Here are my 4 pieces. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take those 4 pieces and you will glue these down to your card front. So you would do that for 4 different cards, just like this. Put those down. So I have 4 additional cards. I would put those down on those cards, just like that. And you would wind up with 4 card bases just like this. So let me show you what I've done with those 4. I have done, this is how I embellished them. I did pull in a little more of that ribbon and use those birthday Bonanza dies. And that is it. That is how you come up with 11 cards with 2 sheets of designer series paper and some cardstock. So I'm going to post pictures of all of these cards on my blog. You can see them all there because I don't even have room on my screen to put them all here, but I will put pictures of them, and I will make available to you for a PDF download this particular design or pattern. Now you could come up with your own, or you could wait because I will try to work up some on my own, and we'll see where we can go with this another time. So my thanks to Shannon West from Stampin' Up. She did introduce this to our group of demonstrators, and I just took it and put it into a printable format. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them. I would love to get them in the comments below or message me, and let's see what we can do with our cardstock. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this.